All right. Welcome to the show. We are live. We're not live yesterday because I had to run to the other end of town. And what a mess. By the time I got done with my appointments, it was rush hour traffic. And let me tell you, rush hour on I-4 running through Orlando is, is like, I hope you're packing some heat because it can get pretty sporty out there. You know what I mean? So, that said, everything's cool. Everything's cool. And I'm back to doing some painting and chatting. I actually used a quote from one of my favorite sci fi movies up there. Uh, so, if you get it, if you recognize it, if you know it, and you don't have to look it up, then good for you, man. That's awesome. If you have to look it up, that's cool too. Look it up. One of the most underrated sci-fi movies of all time, in my opinion. And more's the shame that, even though I know I've spoken about this before, all the movie, the stuff that got cut out and whatever, was stored in a mine in Romania or some shit and ended up all getting destroyed. So, yay. And apparently they had cut lots out of the movie because they were trying to bring it in. Hey guys, how you doing? They were trying to bring the movie in with like a R rating, but not anything too crazy. And a lot of the scenes, which they barely show you in flashes about what went on the ship when it went through the gravity well, got cut out and set aside. So there was a lot more, I should say, gory stuff in the film, and now it's all gone, and it will never ever come back. It's destroyed forever. The only way it could come back is if somebody somehow wow. Somebody posted something on the general in my chat about some crazy chick wanting to have sex with um, 1,000 men in a day. I mean, that's just disgusting. It's like, what do you even do with a woman like that? Like, put her in a brothel? I mean, she's no good for anything after that. You know what I mean? Like, at some point in the future, if she does decide she ever wants to marry, it's like, what's she supposed to do? Hey, marry me. I love you. And by the way, oh, what a little cute Pomeranian. Oh, more Pomeranians. Oh my God. I love Pomeranians. They are the best. I've got my palm. But anyway, it's like, can you imagine being the guy that's like supposed to take that bullet for the team, Like, you meet her and fall in love and then find out she's been ran through by 1,100 guys, bare minimum. 1,100 guys, not counting any other guys that she may have slept with during her life. But at a bare minimum, 1,100. And she did that in 2 days. It's like, come kind of mental illness is that? That's got to be a mental illness. That can't be like something a normal, healthy human being would be like. You know what I think would be a great idea? Letting a bunch of random men, you know, have access to my most personal, you know, private areas just because, fame, I guess. I'll tell you what. And hey there, Songar. Hey, I just sent you a link, Songar. I will tell you what. I don't know what it is. And I know I make jokes all the time about getting rid of the 19th and everything, but in reality, I like to think I'm relatively respectful to my wife most of the time. Um, but the more I see things like this online, and I know of course, it's a very small percentage of people, right? It's not like, this is the majority of women that are behaving this way, but it's so egregious that it almost makes it where you want to make it illegal for women to have like social media. You know what I mean? It's like men, they do social media, and it's usually, hold my beer moments. You get to see some guy fighting an alligator or something, and that's fun. That's all fine and well. Or they make videos of themselves painting, or they make videos of themselves gaming.
Yo,
What's up, homie? Or just basically dangerous videos of them, doing stupid shit where they could die. That's typically most men making.
you need to put your apron on if you're going to be painting with that shirt.
You need to not tell me what to do.
Yeah, I just don't want to see your wife kill you for running your good clothes.
Are you sure you wouldn't want to see that though?
Yeah, you're my brother, and I kind of love you a little bit.
Oh, oh, a little bit, not a
Oh,
lot,
shut up.
just a little bit,
No homo.
not a whole lot, just like, you know.
Ugh, shit.
Oh, did you just wake up? Jeez,
No,
man,
I was
I've been
just falling
awake all
asleep.
morning.
I was falling asleep when you sent me the link. I've been up since 3
Nah.
o'clock morning.
Oh, I come up with an idea for you.
What's up?
How you're saying you wanted magic? Instead, if you're willing to not play the bird guy, you could always play like a Cimmerillion outcast,
Cool.
and they're the humans, but they get to start with a magical order of your choice, except necromancy. But their deal is unlike the Cimmerillion wizard that gets like two magic things and a couple of skills. They
Yeah.
get like a shit ton of skills that you get to choose the ones you want.
See, I wanted to bring the romance to necromance.
So, like, you could choose a character that's a Cimmerillion outcast that has magic, but then also has stealth, assassination,
See,
like
that's
tons of different,
I could
like
be
they,
like a mage assassin type thing.
yeah, it's weird because they get like you only get to choose like six skills, but of the six skills, there's like 20 you can choose from.
Well, I had my doctor's appointment yesterday, and I got good news and bad news.
Same here. And I don't have anything but good news.
Well, I'm doing decent,
Good.
but I'm not allowed to take any long road trips for at least 6 more months.
Well, that sucks, balls. That means there'll be no February
Yeah, well,
House Stark versus
yeah,
House
but
Greyjoy.
yeah, my doctor was thinking that the long drive and the stress of it could have been what caused part of my issues.
No, I think you just have issues.
I don't have issues. I have subscriptions.
Okay, since you can't take a long drive, can you take like a flight?
I might be able to. I will check it out.
Because if you need help with a ticket, I
Dude,
would pay.
I know, but I don't need help with a ticket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to buy me anything for Christmas?
I asked you what you wanted, and you said nothing.
Did you?
Yeah.
And I said nothing.
Yeah, you said don't worry about buying me anything, get it for the kids.
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
I
Which
need to
is
learn to be more selfish.
surprising because normally you always like, give me a 3D printer.
Well, you have bought me a lot of 3D printers in the past. That is true.
Remember, you're like, hey, I give you these cards for that pistol.
Dude, you made out. There was twice as much money.
You know, Carly still
Out.
plays that, well, parts of it.
She what?
She still plays with a lot of those cards. I
There were
think
cards in that deck that were worth more than the pistol. Like one card.
I don't play a lot of Magic. I've been
Well, I
waiting.
wonder what Elvin Velociraptor herder is even going for now.
I made chili today.
Nice. We're having pot roast.
Yeah, I didn't sleep last night. They changed some of my medications, and my body is not used to them yet. So I got to get up and go to the bathroom a whole lot. You know,
Oh, well, I do that all the time, dude.
the screaming memes.
Let's look here. Let's look at the MTG card. I'm looking for the one that turns all creatures into 5/5 dinosaurs.
Cal, what's up, buddy?
Yeah,
James,
the Elven Velociraptor. Let's see what this bad boy's going for these days. Oh, $299.
299.
Yeah, $299.
Nice.
That's what I'm telling you. You're like talking all this.
Yeah, but I couldn't put a cap in somebody's ass with a magic deck.
Oh, how did you like that gun meme I sent you?
Yes.
Did you like that?
Yes. Did you look at your phone today and see all the spicy memes I've sent?
No,
I've sent some spicy ones.
I'll have to look. But the whole, hey, you're buying a 1911, you get a free fortune cookie.
Yep.
Best things in life are always free. Hey, you get a free Glock. Glocks aren't the best thing. And the fortune cookie flips it over and is like, yes, they are. It's like he's arguing with the fortune cookie. The fortune cookie's like, listen here, boomer, Glocks are the best.
Glocks are not bad. Glocks are good. Glock is a good firearm. I just don't have glaucoma.
Because you're like the old FUD in the show, in the thing. You are
No,
FUD.
no,
You're
because
all like
I'm not a big
1911's the best. Me.
I'm not a big 1911 fan.
Oh
My
bullshit! You had a 1911.
Yeah, my favorite though. My favorite is 6 Hour.
Oh yeah, but is the SIG a 1911 or a?
No shit, no.
I mean, how does it function? Does it function like a 1911 or does it function like
It's
a good pistol?
like a Glock.
Well, hey Cal, how you doing, homie? Yeah. So anyway, that's one card, and there were like more than just that one.
I
All the
don't know.
fetch lands and everything.
It was a great. It's a great deck. It was a good deal for me.
There was one sword in there. I think the Sword of Feast and Famine or some shit. That's like $100 card. Just that sword. Oh, look at that hair, man. Ooh, nice. Did it ever occur to you that chili is just like curry but Mexican?
You know, I was on watching Bear Show, this morning, and I was like, "Yep, chili's in the crock pot." And he's like, "Yeah, what is it? Chicken curry chili?" And I was like, "No, but next time it fucking will be."
Well, if you think about it, they share a lot of this dude don't know guns. DS says that. Yeah, I know guns. Glocks are the best. I mean, the one I keep at my desk is a Glock 17, and it's the best.
You know, you love that Springfield, though.
I do love the Springfield Hellcat because when I'm out walking around the neighborhood or some shit, I can tuck that in my pocket, you know, and it's all good in the hood. You know what I'm saying? And I know that if I run into a situation, I got 16 9mm PPUs ready to rock, right?
That's
But
right.
you know, DS, if you're going to try to argue that the 1911 is like the best pistol ever, come on, dude. It's not even close. Actually, it might be close because I'll tell you what, a lot of those target shooters, they do use long slide 1911s
For its
with,
time, when it
with
came out, 1911, you couldn't beat it.
right. The long slides with the freaking recoil compensation and shit like that. But like most people are never going to own a 1911 like that. That's like a $3,000, $4,000 rifle or pistol. I mean, meanwhile, for like $600, you grab a Glock 17, you're set for life. You know.
It's like the Kimbers. Everybody's always talking about how great the Kimbers are. They're all 1911 platform, and they're known for just jamming.
See, 1911s, one of the biggest problems 1911s have too is the firing pins breaking. Like
And
if you use them a lot, there's a good chance the firing pin is going to break. It's just how it is.
the small single stack magazine.
Yeah, also I mean, then again though, I mean, 45 caliber, if you do hit something with it, I mean, it's going to fill it. It's going to be in trouble. It's not
I
going to
don't
like
care.
it.
I would rather have 16 9mm than 845.
Me too, which is why I'm all like, you know what I would rather have than 16 9mm?
Uh, uh,
39 millimeter?
24 5.7s.
No, 39 millimeter.
Yeah, 24 5.7s are pretty good too, though.
Because I've got a bunch of 30 round Glock mags.
I know. I gave you a couple of those.
I know you did. So, I mean, if a zombie apocalypse ever happens, I might get killed, but it won't be for lack of shooting. You know what I'm saying? I'll be shooting.
That's what I like about my 3 full ammo cases full of, you know, AK rounds.
I don't know if you want to talk about it because there could be like glowies listening in.
Well, they can come to the house and try to get them.
Yeah, I think in Florida, as long as you don't have like some kind of huge stockpile, it's
I'm
like
out of
under a
enough
certain
ammo that I
amount,
want.
which I'm well under. I picked up a couple of those Bulgarian spam cans. So I've got like 3,000 5.45 rounds for my AK, which is, you know, let's be honest, that's like way more rounds than I ever fired off in Saudi Arabia and Iraq when I was in the war. I mean, I might have fired off 400 rounds the whole time I was there, and that was all 7.62 rounds. You know, out of the freaking GPM, you know, general purpose machine gun. But yeah,
Is shooting a machine gun as fun as it seems to be?
yeah, and you know what? There's a place not far from you where you can actually go and like once a year, you can go and rent like the opportunity to fire machine guns. and they have like MG42s, 30 cals, you know, like the American World War II 30 cals, and they've got the paratrooper machine guns that the Germans carried, the FG whatevers.
I've always wanted to fire UMP.
Oh, dude, the 45 caliber UMPs, those things are so badass.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, in Counter Strike, they sucked
yeah, but
because they just were so hard to keep on target. It's like, forget about it, you know?
yeah, but
You're better off with an MP5.
the doof 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 doof.
Oh, dude, yeah. They sound sexy, man. And they look sexy. It's like it's basically a Tommy
Modern day,
gun, but
modern
all
day.
modernized.
Yeah,
You got that 30 or 20 round, stick mag you put in there, and it's like 45 ACP. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, but nah, you'd be better off with like an MP5 or an MP7,
yeah, it's
just
still not the
because they're
fire
so
UMP.
light and they're so easy to keep on target, and it's just like you can
I
just
just
spray
want to.
somebody down.
I just want to shoot it and hug it and love it. And name it George.
Well, I'm telling you, there's a place where you can go, and they got all kinds of machine guns. Because I saw a YouTube video where uh, yeah, dude was he went there and he paid a bunch of money, and they let him fire like 200 rounds through an MG42.
Nice.
And then he got to fire like a 30 cal, and then he got to fire like all kinds of shit. I mean, it's expensive. It's kind of like that one place where you used to be able to go. I don't know if it even exists anymore, but you could go and they'd let you drive like a T-34 all over the
Yeah,
place.
those still exist. And I was looking at T-34 doesn't cost that much. They're only like 40 grand.
Yeah.
When
I
I
mean,
went to
those
lottery,
are, they've completely sealed the barrels. And
when I went to lottery, I'm buying myself a T-34 and I'm getting you a Panzer and I'm getting Pop Sherman and we're going to play tag out on the property.
like laser tag, by the laser tag setups.
Yep.
Except, you know what my favorite tank of World War II is?
Uh, Tiger.
No. I've told you a million times, man.
I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm very sleep
You
deprived.
already said the name of it. It's the Sherman.
German, yeah. But you're getting a German, I'm getting a Russian, and our father's getting the American.
Well, if I were forced to take a German tank, I would want a Stug F8.
Yeah, the Stugs are nice.
FG42, the Fallschirmjäger rifle that had, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, historical doppelganger. I saw a dude, he paid a bunch of money to go to the machine gun thing that they do. And one of the rifles that he was allowed to fire a magazine through was one of those FG whatevers. They're weird because they're kind of big and the magazine comes off the side instead of the bottom. But yeah, this guy went and dropped a few C notes, and he got to fire rounds through an MG42 and a American 30 cal from World War II, and like all kinds of shit. I mean, it was
I would really like to fire 30 cal.
yeah, I imagine it'd be pretty fun, honestly.
I really want to fire a 357 millimeter, but Walmart don't sell the shells anymore.
What?
When Walmart put out the things, we're going to stop selling these ammos 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 45, 357 millimeter.
357 millimeter. That would be a 35.7 centimeter weapon.
That would be a freaking train gun.
No, not train gun. You're being crazy. Millimeters aren't that big. But then, okay, so we've got it at 35 centimeters. If we're just doing basic bullshit, you would have that. 35 halved would be, let's say, 17. That would be like a a 17-pounder gun or some shit.
Yeah, I didn't choose the
What would
Stug.
that be? Like a 1.7 pounder or something? I mean, that would be a pretty big gun. Not a tank gun, not like a 7.5 centimeter, but
What historical doppelganger said? I didn't choose the Stug life. The Stug life chose me.
I'll tell you what, I love me a Stug. When I used to play bolt action, that was my thing, man. Panzer Grenadiers mounted in half tracks and Stugs, because the Stug is dirt cheap, and if you get the F8 with the, I think it's a 7.5 centimeter L76 or whatever's on it, that thing can crack any allied armor in the game. So it's super cheap, and it can kill any armor in the game.
If
And in addition to that, it has a shit ton of great armor on the front slope. So a lot of times you'll take a shot from a 76 millimeter and laugh at it. Be like, nah, that's not going to do it, buddy. But
you know what I would do if I could do a life redo?
Huh?
Knowing what I know now, one, I'd be a Bitcoin millionaire, but two, I'd study and work my ass off and become an A-10 pilot.
Yeah. The A-10's so funny because they'll be like,
we're going to get rid of it.
We're getting rid of the A-10. Oh, there's a war? Bring back all the A-10s. You know what I mean? And then at the end of that war, they'll be like, all right, we're putting all the A-10s in the National Guard units and mothball them. And then a war will happen. They'll be like, bring out the A-10s.
Exactly. Because it's a gun platform with wings.
It is literally a gun that they just build a plane around.
Yeah.
Wally World doesn't sell pistol ammo. Yeah. You know what? That's why I don't shop there. They can kiss my ass. You know? It's like, I mean, you don't even need the government to outlaw ammo if all of the major corporations just won't sell it.
Okay, you know how in Florida,
that's one way to get around the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and all that. Like Florida, they showed you how to get around the First Amendment this last 4 years when the companies that owned all the social media just banned everyone. I mean, Florida, it's like,
if you have a concealed carry permit, you don't have to wait the stupid 3 days for a firearm.
How's that work where I am though? Since we have constitutional carry.
Well, I don't know if Florida still has the 3-day waiting period. Where I live, Tennessee doesn't have it at all. But the Walmart, I went to the Walmart a few years ago to get my daughter a 22 rifle, like the ones I had when we were kids.
Yeah, as you would.
Get at Walmart, and they're like, yeah, you can get it now and come back in 3 days to pick it up. I was like, one, it's a rifle. Two, I have a concealed carry permit. I don't wait for pistols. And they're like, yeah, but it's Walmart's policy. I was like, well, Walmart can eat a satchel of Richards. And I went to Outdoor World or whatever it is, the sporting goods store, and bought my daughter a 22 rifle.
You know, when I was looking at the AR chambered in 300 Blackout, one of the least expensive places I found to buy it was like Gander Mountain.
Yeah.
They had one made by Sig Sauer for like $800. I was like, for a Sig 300 Blackout, that's actually not bad.
I like historical doppelganger. I like the A-10 meme where it's like the picture of the A-10 and it's captioned, you don't see this image, you hear it.
Yeah, right. And it's true too, because no matter who you are, when you see the A-10, you hear that. You know.
I'll tell you what.
What was that meme you posted? Had all of the like ISIS fighters giving the thumbs up, and it was like photo bomb, and you see an A-10 coming in behind them.
I'll tell you what. If you're an American soldier over one of those situations, and you hear that brr, and you just know that things are going to be okay.
Yeah, I was watching a guy the other day, and they were trapped down, and he said that in Afghanistan, and there was a white guy with red hair on top of the hill shooting at him. You saw that?
Chechenian.
And he said, "Oh shit, Chechens." You know what I mean? And they called in the airstrike, and it was a B-1 bomber.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, the bomber was like bombs away, incoming 2 minutes. And the guy's like, 2 minutes? What the hell's taking it 2 minutes? It was 60,000 feet or some shit.
Yeah.
And those bombs hit, and it was just like, yeah, that's into that shit.
Yeah, but you're on the ground, you're pinned down, you see the A-10s coming in low,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're like, I get to go home today and eat my stovetop stuffing.
I'll tell you what, when I was overseas, man, we used to see them guys flying around, and it's so weird because they're fast, but they don't look fast. Like when you're sitting on the top of the Bradley watching it, they look slow when they're just kind of cruising, but those things are doing 400 or 500 miles an hour,
Yeah.
And then if somebody wants to give you a problem, Mr. Warthog will handle that business,
Well, that Warthog's not going 400 or 500 miles an hour. That thing's going like 23, 25 mile an hour. It
No,
looks
they're fast,
so
man.
slow. No, it looks so slow and chunky though. It's like
They're very fast, and they're designed to like fly with half a wing and one engine, and the pilot half dead. And it's like
those
they're
pilots
just
don't get
top
those,
aircraft.
those pilots don't get hurt with that freaking titanium bathtub.
They're just really tough aircraft. I don't know that you can approve it. It's like one of those things where it's like people don't think about it, but other than the electric car, which I'm not a huge fan of because it doesn't have the range for bullshit, we are still using effectively the exact same engine that I guess the British or Germans or whoever invented like back 100, 200 years ago or some shit. Like the difference between a Model T Ford and a brand new car, when you really get down to it, is not as much as you would think. I mean, it's internal combustion engine, right?
Yeah.
And our most powerful vehicles on the planet, nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers, they're all steam powered.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, it's nuclear." No, the nuke reactor, that thing is just on there to boil water to turn turbines to generate electricity.
It's a freaking it's a nuclear powered teapot.
Yeah, it's a nuke powered steam engine. And that's basically what you're dealing with there. And it's just like, so it's so wild how certain technology just doesn't seem to have really changed. And this is something I was talking about with other dudes. Like one time we were doing the whole, we were all chatting about things. It's like, what if we as humans have kind of topped out at some of our technology? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, look at the firearm. There's really no more effective way to take someone off the census than the firearm. I mean, they can talk about laser guns and plasma guns and all the different things they want in sci-fi books, but the reality is some knucklehead with an AK will take you right off the census, and it's super efficient, and even better than that, it's cheap.
Yeah.
Because any world in whatever sci-fi setting you're talking about probably has the capability of building, an AK from whatever materials they have on whatever planet they're on. So
Well, you're making the point of the 1911 right there. Okay, this pistol came out couple 100 years ago, and they're still using the exact same format.
right. Well, I don't hate 911s. That's the thing. I just like Glocks better.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'd take a 1911. I mean, if a good one, if somebody's like going to be like, hey, you want to have this, 1911, I'd be like, well, sure. Hand her over, buddy. But no, I would much rather have the Hellcat or the Glock just because it carries so much more rounds. It's a lot
That's
easier to keep on target.
that's why I like
And
P365 because it fits in the palm of my hand and it holds 10 rounds.
right. So I guess the guy said I didn't know anything about guns left. That was his contribution. This guy doesn't know anything about guns. Yeah, well, I spent 4 years in the Army as an infantryman. So, let's talk about guns if you want, and I like Glocks.
Because you got glaucoma.
I, you know, it's easy to take care of. It works every time.
Hey, it's like
It's
sex
high
methods.
capacity. I mean, is it the greatest firearm of all time? I would say when you add up all the different whatevers, then yeah.
Remember the Bruce Willis movie when he's like, it's a Glock. They're all made out. They're made out of carbon and undetectable, and it's like you're retarded.
Yeah, you're retarded. That thing's got a metal upper, a metal barrel, bolt.
Metal bullets.
I mean, there's some things you can actually maybe get away with doing with polymer and stuff, but there's some things you can't. Now, I've heard that spies can carry like firearms where the barrel's made out of some kind of impregnated ceramic and everything's like made to be non-detectable. But that's like some James Bond shit right there.
That's like that Sex Panther shit. 60% of the time, it works every time.
Right. It's not like something that you're ever going to see, you know, any normal human being having access to.
Yeah, well, brother, I'm falling asleep.
So,
You're going to hear me snoring here in a few minutes, probably.
no, that means you just need to set up and drink some coffee.
Not allowed to drink a lot of coffee anymore.
Set up and punch yourself in the nuts.
No thanks. I did that up at Bob's house.
Did you?
Yeah,
Why?
I was pulling on my PJ pants, and I grabbed the leg to pull it up over my foot, and my hand slipped as I was yanking really hard, and I got myself right in the testiculars.
Dude, I saw such a good YouTube thing yesterday called The Witches of Eastern Kentucky. This guy telling a story about it. And it wasn't too far from where we are. And it made me wonder if the Devil's Graveyard had anything to do with them,
I wouldn't doubt it.
But apparently there was a whole bunch of them, and eventually they all got wiped out.
Hey, I
Well,
posted something
a
on
lot
Facebook.
of them got wiped out. Let's say that. A lot of them got wiped out. I have to turn my mic on. For some reason, just every now and then, my mic wants to turn off.
I posted something on Facebook for the first time in a long time today.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and it says Mark Zuckerberg, who allegedly fucked an ostrich, has said that they're going to stop with the fact checkers on Facebook.
Does that mean that he hangs out with Boots?
I guess, but he just said that he's going to stop with all the fact checking and let people post
No,
what they
he's already fired them all.
post on Facebook. So I posted that picture like Mark Zuckerberg, who allegedly fucked an ostrich.
Oh no, people were mad because now you can go on Facebook and call like trans people or LGBT people straight up mentally ill.
Yeah. What's up, Six Nations and Mobius?
Hey, Mobius. So everybody's mad because they're like, I can't believe Mark Zuckerberg's allowing hate speech. It's like, yeah, but you were okay when he was banning people for like nothing. Like
Talking about
all you
COVID.
had to do is question the Pope and boom, gone. You know, or be in the slightest way conservative, boom, gone, you know? And it's like now all of a sudden the shoe's on the other foot. Zuckerberg knows. I'll tell you what's going on. I
He
think.
started
Mhm.
he started fighting and stuff and got some testosterone, like no
No,
one said.
no. I think that he talked to his lawyers and they told him, look, you know what I'm saying? You broke laws. Whether you did it because the FBI and whoever told you to do it or not, don't matter. You broke laws. And you better suck up to this president or you might find your ass in prison. And they don't treat lizard people and robots really good in prison.
No.
So that's why as soon as Trump won the election, Zuckerberg's on a freaking his private jet to Mar-a-Lago, to go make deals. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
part of the deal was he had to put Dana White on the board of directors, Facebook and Meta. And Dana White, he's like not putting up with any of that shit. Full of mythology and weird fiction lately. Yeah, mine too, bro. Mine too. I've been watching so many of the stories of Appalachia and just weird shit. Dogmen, moon-eyed people, Appalachian witches and cursed lands and like there's a guy who does Appalachian stories and he writes books too. But he's got a whole channel where all he does is talk about all the crazy ass shit. Oh yeah, a lot of the FBI agents that were involved with effing with Twitter and Meta. Those dudes have already retired. They're already gone. You know what I'm saying? They're not waiting around. They know what's gonna happen. It's like you broke the law. And what's funny is, and I was so hoping that Biden would at least be classy on his way out, and he proved me wrong. He gets up here and starts talking about we've got to be afraid of, oligarchs controlling this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, first off, you just was president for 4 years. So everything you're sitting here saying needs to be changed. Why didn't you change it in the last 4 years, asshole? Saying the tax code really needs change. You were the president for 4 years and you had the votes to do it, but you didn't because you're an asshole. And then the second thing where he's talking about we need to watch out for censorship, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, why don't you just tell on yourself? You know what I mean? Just tell on yourself. Because everything you're trying to warn the American people to watch out for, you did. It's like you did all that. You're the one that was, if somebody happened to mention on Twitter that they kind of like Trump, they were getting banned. If you didn't immediately go along with the freaking idea that boys and girls can just randomly exchange, genders just because, then you got banned. I mean, all the stupid shit we have had to put up with for 4 years. And now the asshole at the end of his 4-year tour where he's done nothing good, not a damn thing worth mentioning good, gets up there and tries to do a whole warning video about we got to watch out for this, that, and the
That's
other.
not true.
What do you do good?
He made it where Jimmy Carter wasn't the worst president in American history.
Jimmy Carter was too decent to be an American president.
Yeah.
That was his problem. He kept trying to be a way, and it was like, you can't be that way. You got to be a hard ass. You know, you got to be willing to get up there and freaking throw down, right?
You gotta get on TV and be like, Abdul Habib Baba. He died like a dog.
He died like a dog. From what I understand, he was crying. He was crying, but no one could help him. And then he died like a dog. Yeah, that'd be Lincoln. You know, if you're going to be a president, you got to be a president. You can't try to be super nice, because then all the douchebags will walk all over you, and then history will blame you because you let them walk all over you, you know?
It's like that one Family Guy episode. Hey, your lawn's looking a little raggedy there. Yeah, well, I used to have a guy for that, Abe.
Yeah, Abe. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a guy for that in Slave. But yeah, so the guy could have went out totally like at least a gentleman, but instead he's tried to booby trap everything the incoming administration's gonna have to deal with, and he's blaming the incoming administration for his last 4 years. It is like we are living in some kind of insane world where everyone's just insane. Old Gods of Appalachia, I believe Monty Cook made a role-playing game called Old Gods of Appalachia, I believe.
Well,
Now, I have the role-playing book by Bloat Games called Appalachia, Bloody Appalachia. It's got like a guy with a chainsaw wearing a pig's head, and it says, "You are not welcome here" on the cover. It's mostly like an OSR game, but with a little bit more to it. And pretty much you pick the player characters, get to pick what they're going to be, FBI agents, whatever. And then you pick what the thing is. Is it a ghost? Is it like Fae-type creatures? Is it cannibalistic feral humans living in a holler somewhere? You go ahead and pick which thing you want to pick. And
I'm out. I'm out.
well,
bro.
I appreciate you hanging on for as long as you did.
I love you.
I love you.
I'll call you
Always
later.
have. Always will.
Always will.
Right.
Yeah, everybody have a good day.
Mad enough to get a dagger past your guards. You know what that's from?
Yep.
Yeah,
Freaking Braveheart.
Steven.
It was his island.
Yeah, right.
On my
More's
island.
the pity, right? But anyway, so that was my brother and me just chatting about things to chat about. Hungar, sleepy. He is sleepy, man. But yeah, I sent him a meme, and it was basically just making fun of a guy trying to buy 1911, about how much better Glocks were. The guy was getting so pissed off about it. Yeah. And finally he just like threw everything down, walked out the store, mad, because he just would not admit that Glocks are better. But let's be honest, I guess it's just what you like. I know when my pop's out on the property wandering around, like, knocking weeds down or whatever he's doing, he carries a Judge with the 44 long and the 410, because that's good for killing copperheads. And Kentucky don't have a lot of poisonous snakes, but it's got two that you got to watch out for. And it's the copperheads and the pine rattler. And most of the time, like when I'm up there, since I always go up there in the wintertime because I love the winters, like the wife and I, if we want to go walking around camp, like not camping, but traipsing up the mountains and shit, we never got to worry about, because, if there's snow on the ground, you're not going to see snakes. That's just a thing, right? But if it's, warm weather and you're out there trying to hoe down alfalfa or whatever, you might want to keep something on you, because copperheads, or if you're going up the mountain through all the freaking trees and all that dead fall on the ground, that's, amongst the rocks and shit, you can run into some pine rattlers up there, which, unlike the rattlesnakes down here, they don't get real big. Pine rattler gets a couple feet long, maybe. Diamondback rattlesnake, I've seen them here in Florida 6-7 feet. I mean, that big around. You know what I mean? Them damn things get big. And there is a thing, I don't know if I'd want to press my luck on this, but it is a thing. The big old diamondbacks, the really big ones, if they bite you, one, it's going to hurt because their fangs are 1.5 inches long. But a lot of them dry bite, because I guess they just don't envenomate anymore. I guess like they're old and they just can't get the venom up anymore. A common problem amongst rattlesnakes over 40. But anyway, so if you get bit by a rattlesnake and it's one of the big ones, it's going to hurt like hell, but at least you have a small chance of getting lucky and not getting envenomated. But if you do get envenomated, oh my God. Rattlesnake venom is a neurotoxin that causes necrosis. So by the time you get to the hospital, they'll give you the antivenom, but then they'll end up having to cut all the dead meat out of there. That venom had already caused to, necrose, become necrotic. But copperheads, I don't know. I know my uncle picked one up one night and put it in a bucket. He was carrying it in his freaking, they were out gathering up a little homesy backwoods story here. They were out gathering up night crawlers, and it was dark and it had just rained. So all the night crawlers, they like to come up out of the ground, I guess, so they don't drown. And some of these night crawlers can be beasts. You know what I mean? They are big worms, right? And he was walking down the road there, dirt road, picking up night crawlers, not paying attention to it, and got home and he looked in a bucket and there was like a little copperhead in the bucket. He just picked it up and put it in the bucket and never even thought about it. And I guess the copperhead was just like, what? Okay. It was just like, I'm a baby copperhead. I guess we're going for a ride. All right. And that was just the way that shit went. So kind of funny if you think about it. Kind of whatever, but I am currently putting all of my House Stark tactical cards into House Stark sleeves. Why? Because that's the kind of knucklehead that I am. That is the kind of guy that I am. I'm going to put, that's just, I can't help it. That's the kind of guy I am. And all the characters are going to go in clear sleeves because you got to be able to see both sides. And all the units are going to go in these special sized sleeves so that you can see both sides. So here we have the full deck, 50 tactics cards. But if I were going to use these, you would pick the commander like Brendan Tully, the Blackfish, and you would pick his cards out, and then you would pick out the generic Stark cards, and that would give you a deck of, I think, 20 cards, and that would be your tactical deck. which, you can play on your opponent to do stuff. And, you know, Starks are pretty good. Even though Greyjoy is like the undead faction of A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's pretty easy for them to just regenerate fallen casualties. It has to do with that which is dead may never die. Keep snake shot. Yeah, see, my pop uses a 410 round with snake shot and that. And it's just like, yep. Now, me personally, I am not a snake hunter. A lot of hillbillies believe that the only good snake is a dead snake. I'm not that guy. So, like, if I see a garden snake or a grass snake or something like that, I'm not going out of my way to kill a snake. I don't go on my way to kill a spider. And you know how a lot of people are freaked out about spiders? I like spiders. My favorite spiders are especially those big, fuzzy jumping spiders you find every now and then. And every now and then, some of them even look like they got that red fox fur on them. I like those things, man. I'll sit and watch those things climbing around. And up in Kentucky and areas like that, there's some big ones that can get, almost 2 inches long, these things. And they're smart, I think. At least they seem smart, because you can like get one to get on your hand. And if you're careful and you don't move, it won't jump away. But I mean, they are jumping spiders. So, and you can sit there and look at it, and it'll be on your hand looking at you. And you're making eye-to-eye contact with this thing. Like, you can tell it's looking back, right? And it's been like, okay, what's going on here? And as long as you're calm and you're cool and you're collected about it, they'll calm right down and they'll just crawl around, and you'll never have to worry about getting bit. They're just like, is that one of Elon's rockets with a Russian engine? I don't know, Monsieur Balls. Oh, look at you. Yeah. Bringing the mythos into it. That is true. Yet the god of the serpents does get pissed off if you kill his children. So anytime you kill one of his children, there is a chance that Yith could show up and put the mojo on you, and you would not like it. Like in one story, he turned a woman into some kind of snake thing, abomination, and she killed her husband and children. And yeah, you don't mess with Yith. Yeah, I have never seen a super aggressive jumping spider. They're pretty much just going about their business. They don't give a shit. They're just like, they know that you're not something they could eat. They know that even if they did bite you, it wouldn't really hurt you. So they'll just hang out. And I'm telling you what, I don't understand how intelligence works. I don't understand our brain or anyone else's brain. But these little dudes seem a lot smarter than we give them credit for. You know what I mean? Like, look at ants. Ants, if you just look at what a bunch of ants do, and then you're like, how do they do this? I'm not trying to be like ICP and argue about magnets and shit like that. But I'm just saying, like, how does an ant come out of the egg and just automatically know that it needs to do all this crazy ass shit and then do it? It's like, as a human, and the fact that we got to learn literally everything to not die, it's really wild, man. Or maybe I should have just been an entomologist. A bird-eating spider bit a dude's testicle off? Oh my God. Well, I have seen those bird-eating spiders, Monsieur, and they are big. They are big. The spiders I'm talking about up in the mountains, they're about that big, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And they're furry, so they actually look cute. You know, when you pick them up and you look at them, you're like, they're actually kind of cute, you know? Now, as a kid, I owned a rose-haired tarantula. I ended up giving it away after I owned it for a couple years. And I think the thing that really turned me off is I just got to where I didn't want to feed it anymore, you know? It's like you drop a cricket or something in there, and maybe I'm just too soft-hearted, you know. That poor cricket's jumping around like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden the tarantula's like, bam. And then the tarantula's just chewing it up, you know, and like so it can suck all the juice out of it or some shit. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to watch that anymore, you know. I mean, just not my thing, you know. Just like when I owned a snake, I owned a big ass corn snake. I'd caught it, and I thought, well, this is a big ass corn snake. I'm going to keep it, right? Like a big rat snake. So I went to the store and bought some mice to feed the rat snake. By the time I got home, I had decided to let the rat snake go, and I kept the mice as the pets. And that was pretty good. So I got a shit ton of them. So I took a walk about a mile out into the cow field and just let them go into palmettos. Hopefully they lived. I hope they did. I mean, they had their shot. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess I'm soft-hearted. I don't want to feed things to things that I think that the thing getting ate might feel pain. That that bothers me, you know what I mean? I just don't want any of that. So yeah, I guess I'm just a softy, guys. Oh, duh. No wonder I'm like I'm looking through these characters trying to find a character. It's like these are Stark characters, and I'm looking for Carl's. If you say that correctly, Qarl, Carl, I guess Quarl. It's Asha Greyjoy's companion, and I have the minion in front, or the miniature in front of me, and I wouldn't mind painting it. Okay, here it is. Expert duelist. Let's look at it. All right, wearing a shit ton of plate armor, which the miniature is. Blonde haired, pale skinned. Okay. She's a weird attachment because you attach her to a unit that Asha Greyjoy is attached to. And her deal is if you attack an enemy unit before you do the normal unit on unit attack, she can pick an attachment in the other unit, a commander or something. And on a 3+, just it's dead because she's such a, or he, I don't even know. I don't even know if it's a boy or girl, but it's so good at dueling and killing people that, yeah, you can just take people out. Six Nations, I know the story you're talking about. Yep. Tarantula-sized jumping spiders. Oh my God. Because I'll tell you what, my little Mexican rose hair was like, if it spread its legs straight out, was about that big. And it had a big fat body. And you had to be real careful with it because it was one of those kind that if you piss it off, it'll rub its back and try and pretty much fiberglass your ass. with its hairs that are designed to land on you and just dig in and hurt. So, yep. I remember one time walking in and thinking it was dead because it was just laying on its back in the tank. And I was like, oh shit, it's dead. And then as I was watching it, it split open and it came out of the other shell. And then it kind of just sat there for a while its exoskeleton hardened up. And then I just took the old spider skeleton out and threw it away. But yeah, rose hairs are very, very calm, easy to deal with. They don't want to bite you. And even if they do bite you, unless you're drastically allergic to them, it'll have about the same effect on you as getting stung by a honeybee would. So, Philip K. Dick. Yep, I think you could be right. That's the one where the spider tells the humans it might be able to save them. And the human's all happy because he's all like, you can save me. And the spider's like, well, not you personally, but we might be able to save your species. And then the bugs busted in and killed him. There was a whole big thing going on between all these insects trying to organize to wipe out humanity. Which, let's be honest, if there was some kind of alien like ray that could take control of creatures to make them do things, and the aliens took control and made like all the insects on Earth hyper aggressive to humanity, eventually, yeah, they'd wipe us out. Wow. Size of a silver dollar. Yeah, that's pretty big. That's about how big ours get, though. About that big. But ours are like super like colorful and they're very, very fuzzy. So when you see them, they'll have patterns all over them. And sometimes they're like fang things hanging down will be like a metallic green or blue. They're like really colorful, which is weird because, they're out in the brush, hunting, I don't know, whatever the hell they're hunting, sow bugs or whatever. But at the same time, they're very colorful and pretty. And, like I said, you'll run into some of them and they'll have that exact same colors, like a red fox, or they'll be like black and white stripes and spots and patterns on them. And then, of course, they got the hairs that stick up. Their eyes are here and they got the hair. They just look kind of goofy. You know what I mean? When you pick one up and you look at it and it's looking back and you're like, you are a goofy looking bastard. But at the same time, you got to respect them because these are apex predators. These are creatures that, for their size and everything, there's not much out there deadlier than they are, like a tiny little creature that is 100% designed to successfully take out whatever it feels like it needs to take out. And impressive. But me, see, I question things like, how in the hell does a spider know how to spin a web? It's like, but they do. It's such a weird thing. It's like, is there a memory chain, like a chemical memory chain that's just automatically passed on from one generation to the next? So as soon as they're born, they just automatically have that, built into them at a genetic level. So, it's just something they know. And the same with ants. It's like, A worker ant comes out of the egg, and within a couple of minutes, it already knows the whole deal of what it needs to do. And I know some of it's pheromones, but still yet, you know. Meanwhile, animals like us, orca, dolphins, you know, all the smartest animals, we're born not knowing a damn thing, and we have to actually be taught by others of our species, you know, how not to die. Like, you know, even orca are that way. They have to be trained by the other orcas not to die because they're not born with any sort of, I don't know, ancestral memory or whatever. So, yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing, you know? Yeah, it's got to be built into the DNA, Onion. It's got to be somehow. How, I don't know, because I am not a college educated man. I did graduate EMT and paramedic and fire 1 and 2 and all that bullshit. But a lot of that's physical shit too, you know. Back when I used to be jacked up and all that, before I broke my neck, and they had to put a bunch of titanium in it. But I'm not complaining. It was a good time while it lasted. It's just so wild though that a creature could be born and at a genetic level just automatically know what it needs to be about. You know, it's like, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not trying to say that they're geniuses or anything. I'm just saying in my mind, that just seems like such a wild thing, you know, like, but it's not the wildest thing in history. I mean, you look at like a creature like in Australia, like a box jellyfish. They're active hunters. They have eyeballs, kind of, you know, very primitive eyes, let's say, but they don't have a brain. So it's like, you know, it's like, okay, how can a creature without a brain or a central nervous system have eyes? And how does this creature know to hunt? But they do. They certainly do. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, to quote Jack Burton, is you'd have to be some kind of fool to think that we know everything about this old earth. You know what I mean? Because there's some wild ass shit going on. Yeah, orca, they know to go to breathe, but then, yeah, and not only that, but Onion, orca, which are one of my favorite animals, also one of the few animals that actively hunts moose. Figure that out. They have their own dialects. So, like orca from up in the Northwest, you know, like British Columbia, the squeaks and shit they're making, they can't understand orca from, say, the Atlantic. They can't understand each other. You know, it's like, okay, are we now? I'm not a scientist or a biologist, but are we talking about language now? I mean, brains without bodies, not the other way around. That is kind of a cool way to think of it. Let me tell you this. If a jellyfish can exist on this planet, I see no reason why freaking a Cthulhu or a deep one or any other crazy shit couldn't. Because, I mean, a jellyfish is somehow a living being, but it's 90-something% water. It's like, so basically, it's just living water. It's like a sack of water that's somehow alive. You know, it's like, isn't that the weirdest shit ever? And that gigantic T-posing octopus they got a picture of near that freaking oil rig. You know, and it's like, is that a baby? Is that an adult? I mean, I was watching some shit the other day, and they were saying, yeah, it's learned communication. It's nuts, right? Like I was, you distract me a little bit, but I love orcas, so I'll talk about them. The ones that beach themselves, like orcas train the babies to do that, but only 1 in 10 will. The other ones get so terrified when they beach themselves that once they get back into the ocean, they'll never do it again. But 1 in 10 will be like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this shit. It like the way they hunt and everything is 100% learned behavior. Witchy woo woo stuff, that's Bear's thing. Maybe tap into a universal consciousness, possible. Oh yeah, we have no idea all the different, it's like there's still people arguing over how gravity even works. You know what I mean? I subscribe to the gravity is caused by mass affecting space-time, but there are other opinions, but yeah. I guess while I'm sitting here painting my Greyjoy scumbags, because let's be honest, the Greyjoys are a bunch of scumbags. We were having a big biological discussion, Vic, about how very simple animals seem to know how to do complex shit without anything ever teaching them.
The old universal thing about it is knowledge imparted through DNA or RNA through the birthing process. And there was a study about this. I can't remember how long ago it was that it's like instinctual. You know what I mean? Just it's that instinctual knowledge sort of thing. So.
Well, I remember reading, and I could be totally wrong because this was years ago, that memories were stored in the brain as chemical cells or chemical chains.
That's RNA, DNA sort of. It's inside.
And basically, when you want to remember something, your brain goes around smelling different chemical chains until it smells the right one. Mm-hmm. And then that unlocks the memory. And if that's true, then that opens up some weird thoughts about creating memories, transferring memories. I mean, if a memory is just a chemical chain, then you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Things like that movie where they had discs or whatever, and they were swapping bodies and shit like that, actually becomes like not necessarily just super bullshit. David Lynch died. Oh my gosh. David Lynch, the creator of one of my favorite TV series of all time.
Hey, Bob Uecker died today.
Oh my God.
Another one bites the dust.
But those of you already know. What's up, Satya? How are you doing, bro? I hope everything's wonderful for you over in the great white snowy land of Finland.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Chemical stuff. I mean, I don't know about you all, but whenever I eat anything with artificial chemicals, artificial sweeteners, man, my tongue and my body just go, no way. I don't even want that stuff near me. It's anything with saccharin, sucralose, stevia, stuff like that. It hits my tongue, and I'm like, nope. Tastes like poison to me, so I spit it out.
Well, I'm just talking about, though, if the people are right that memories are stored as chemical chains in your fatty brain.
Oh, sure.
Then, I mean,
okay. We know.
You then create copies of those chemical chains.
Okay, James. You know that if a mother sings to her baby while it's in utero, right? Mm-hmm. That there is memories. The baby has these memories, and they're able to do. It's sort of like putting a baby on your chest when your heart's beating, and they fall asleep right away. You know what I mean? It's a comfort thing. Well,
Right.
why couldn't those same that brain, since it's attached to the mother through the umbilical cord, why couldn't the brain that's inside the mother be receptive to those neurochemical impulses coming from the mother and programming the baby's brain? You know what I mean? You would have that inside the brain, right?
Which sounds like at some point the idea of being able to put a skill chip in and now you know something
Right.
is plausible.
Oh yeah.
Evolution over millions of years. I'm not sure how I feel about evolution. Evolution is like a faith-based belief system. And the reason I say that is because we've only found less than 1% of every animal that may have existed throughout time. So, and sometimes scientists, I know they mean well, but they'll find like a tooth, a fingernail, and a little bit of a jawbone, and they'll create this whole creature out of it. Example, the Spinosaurus, right? And it's like, but you don't know. You're just making shit up, you know? So while I'm not saying, I would never sit here and tell you creatures don't adapt to their environment. We know they do. Every creature will adapt to its environment. We see it with our own eyes, right? But then when you start talking about some of the stuff that evolution teaches, it's like so it's so counterintuitive. It's like when some guy says, you know, over millions of years, a fish decided to climb out of the ocean. And it's like, really? Why? They ain't doing it now. Why'd they do it then? The other thing I don't dig is some people are short or what do they call young Earth guys. And I'm thinking life on Earth probably goes way back further than we could ever know. I mean, are you really going to tell me the Earth was lifeless for 3-point-something billion years of the 4.2 billion years it's supposed to be? And then all of a sudden, boom, just everything started happening? Or maybe life started a billion years after the Earth formed, and it's just been going and going and going, but we never know. We would never know.
We're never going to know.
There's no way we can.
Well, the only way would be ever...
Well, time travel.
Oh, no. If we could instantly travel, let's say, 1 billion light years away, right?
Right.
Have a telescope on us that could look back 1 billion years, and we point it at the Earth, and we watch it, but we'd have to watch it in real time for 1 billion years. You know what I mean? To get to where we're at.
So, I get what you're saying because of how time does.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's kind of the sad part if you read some sci-fi is how some guy will leave home, and then by the time he gets back home, like everyone he knows is dead, and like maybe one of his grandchildren is still alive because of time dilution or dilation. Whenever they dilation when they start going really fast. Or like in the Love, Death, and Robots episode of the Aquila Rift or whatever, the dude had jumped so far away that like literally humanity might not even exist anymore. And then in Red Dwarf, which is a comedy, but the fact is Lister was in that stasis thing for 3 million years. So now you have to ask yourself, does humanity even exist in 3 million years from the time they put Lister in the stasis? Because it may not. You know, it's like he literally could be the last human being on Earth or anywhere in the galaxy for that matter. I mean, but that's if you like Red Dwarf, which I do. Even though I don't think it's like a super science show where, you know, we should be believing everything. But Ultravox, you know, humans aren't the only ones that sing to the babies in the womb, like orcas,
Yeah.
dolphins, like tons of animals do that. Like the higher order animals, the smarter ones do.
But it doesn't mean that it cannot be imparted. You know what I'm saying? From you know what I mean? From a mother to a child. It's just, you know, I just see people say that you can't. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Well, with ants, I think the ant is born and it immediately starts getting all those pheromones from the queen telling it what to do, and it just does. Because, I mean, ants, they're almost like more of a robot than they are a creature. You know what I mean? Like a biological machine. They just do what they do. And they're designed perfectly to do it. So it's like, think about this. Sharks have been on the planet Earth longer than trees. Isn't that kind of amazing to think of? When sharks very first come on the scene, we didn't have trees. We had just those giant fern things, kind of that were thinking about.
Probably lichen or an algae or something like that was the first thing that was.
Yeah, it was lichens, algae, ferns, like really simple things. But the shark was out there in the ocean ripping shit up. And like Carcharodon or great white sharks, I mean, they have literally not changed very much. I mean, we can only find their jaws and their teeth, but based on the jaws and the teeth, they really haven't changed. You know, they're still just millions of years on. And look at a crocodile. It's like every alligator or every dinosaur dropped dead, but not those bastards. They're not dinosaurs, but they all lived. They just kept rocking, you know, alligators, caimans, all the different crocodilians. They're just like, yeah, whatever. We're just going to keep rocking it, you know. Red dwarf is when Lister's curry. Oh, yeah. His curry evolves into a creature that can only be killed by a logger. The only way to kill a curry is a logger. Yeah, red dwarf, when it very first come out, I don't know, 20 years ago plus, man, I went out and I bought like the first 8 seasons on VHS. And that was just, to me, the most hilarious thing ever. And one thing I would always point out to everybody who is a Red Dwarf fan, pay attention. And you'll notice that every time their lives need to be saved from something terrible, Rimmer is the one that saves them. It's never Lister. Lister is basically just a slovenly douchebag making the best out of his situation. Rimmer is the one that always saves the day. And that's not even when he's Ace Rimmer, when he's just normal Rimmer. Like when he kicked Death in the balls, because Death is like, I am here for you. And Rimmer's like, not today, boyo. Kicks him right in the nuts, takes off running. You know, I mean, and of course, the cat is just as dumb as a brick, which makes sense because according to their own legend, when the cats got done with their holy war and decided to leave Red Dwarf, they left behind the mentally enfeebled. You know, the ones that were basically, let's say, mentally retarded, right? Well, that was the cat. Of all the cats, he was the mentally enfeebled one. Yeah, old school Red Dwarf was absolutely amazing. You know. Oh, somebody posted a meme that showed like people in Greenland. It was like, maybe Greenland should make a new TV show and call it Red Greenland. Like the Canadian thing, you know? which if I was a betting man, I'm going to go ahead and bet that Greenland becomes a U.S. territory. Because Denmark says they're going to let Greenland decide. And I have a feeling that if we promise to give them like tons of infrastructure and money and whatever, they're going to be like, yeah, sure. Now, I didn't understand why we would ever want Greenland, but it turns out that I guess it's so that we can keep an eye on China and Russia over the North Pole.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's some mining shows that happen in Greenland. They've been up there, and they're finding rubies and diamonds and stuff right on the surface of the land up there, and it is a huge place. So, plus, after World War II, the Dutch basically gave us carte blanche to do whatever we wanted with that place. We've got at least 3 military bases or three bases up there. It's like, what the heck? If we went up there, the GDP of Greenland would double overnight, instantly. All those people would be getting American passports. They'd be eligible for HUD loans and everything else. I mean, there is nothing bad about coming to the United States except for their health care. And their health care problem would be a little different. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, for the natives, it would be okay because they'll just get on the system that American natives down here on the reses are on.
Oh, I bet you they'd get special status.
Not even the best, but hey, I don't know if you know this, but another thing there is in Greenland is degenerate Inuit cults that worship a god they call the Sleeper. That is a big tentacled beast that sleeps under the ocean. And sometimes part of their rituals involve human sacrifices and stuff.
Hmm.
That, of course, is from the novel, The Call of Cthulhu. Because when they're trying to put together the pieces of the actual Cult of Cthulhu, part of the clues, one of the archaeologists talks about going to Greenland and having in Greenland encountered degenerate natives that worshipped Cthulhu, basically. And part of the whole idea was to show how the cult was worldwide. It was everywhere. All the way from the swamps of Louisiana to the Inuits of Greenland and everywhere. It was just everywhere. But you know what? Those Six Nations, you say that they're smaller than back in the day, but a big salty, like an Australian saltwater crocodile, they almost get as big as a Sarcosaurus. I mean, we're talking some of those boys are 20 plus feet long. I mean,
yeah, and they also been caught out in the open ocean going from like Malaysia to Australia. So I saw a documentary about that. That those things will range, man. They got some serious range.
You know what's crazy? Somewhere at some point, a saltwater crocodile and a great white shark got into it. I don't know who won because no one was there to see it. But you know it happened. At some point, old Salty was out in the middle of the deep ocean, swimming to wherever, and a great white come up and they got into it. And I'm putting my money on a great white because it probably would have ambushed him from beneath and just ripped him in half before it even knew what was going on. But then again, it depends. How big is this freaking Salty? Is he a 26-footer? I mean, at which point, even great whites are starting to look at that thing like, damn, you know?
Yeah, that might be too much to handle there.
That might be a bit much, you know? It's like, because, I mean, a great white don't get much bigger than 20 feet.
I don't
I
know,
know
but
we like Jaws, but the shark in Jaws was only like 30 feet long. That's not very big. I mean, for when you consider that an orca is like the size of a freaking school bus and an apex predator that eats sharks for fun.
you're right. The biggest great white was a 20-footer called Deep Blue.
Yeah, big female. I saw him swimming with her. Yep.
Great.
She's
It was
fat,
in
dude.
the Gulf
She
of
was
St.
like 20
Lawrence,
foot long.
Canada.
She's big around as a freaking tanker trailer.
Yeah, it was found in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Is that
St.
Canada?
Lawrence, isn't that like up in Canada?
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now. Yep,
I'm pretty sure it's Canada.
It's Newfoundland, between Newfoundland and Maine.
Newfoundland.
Newfie.
Newfoundland.
So it was a Newfie shark.
Yeah.
Talking about Jaws, though, that movie actually had a lot of problems in the back.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
but that's what made it
movie
good.
making.
Yeah.
It's 1970s movie making. Come on.
Well, the fact that the robot didn't work now
better.
modern day cinematography people and Spielberg say was probably the best blessing the movie could have had.
Yeah.
Because it forced them to film the movie from a position where you're never quite sure.
Plus, because of what almost happened there, Steven Spielberg never finishes actually any of his movies. He gets somebody else to direct the last scenes of his movie.
Right.
It's like,
Which just means Steven Spielberg just tapped into what Lovecraft had been saying with Jaws, which is fear is one of the most ancient emotions, and of that, the most ancient of all is the fear of the unknown. So by the fact that you never got a good look at the shark until the end, it actually made the movie scarier.
yeah. Our
Whereas
imaginations are going to be better than anything
looking
you
at
can
the
make.
shark all the time, it would have been like, whatever. It's a big ass shark.
No, it'd be like, wow, that's so fake. Nobody cares.
Right. So
it'd make it more comedic to see the shark all the time.
right. So the fact that the robot shark screwed up was a blessing in disguise for him. Not for me though, because my mom had me watch that movie when I was like 7, and it I think brutally traumatized me my whole life. And I brought it up to her. I was like, "You had me watch that. That's kind of terrible, right?" And she's like, "Did you ever go swimming in the ocean and get ate by a shark?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "See?" I was like, "Okay, I guess." That's one way to do it.
If I saw that movie like a kid and I asked my mom that and she said that, I'd be like, yeah, but I mean, I don't live near the ocean.
Yeah, well, I did on and off.
It's like I never did. I lived in the middle of Kentucky my whole life.
Yep. But remember,
that explains some things to left, but
I've been outside the States.
When
I'll be coming through.
Young,
I think I'll be coming through Kentucky next week sometime, or the week after.
Watch out for the witches. When I was very young, my parents split, and one moved with all of one whole side of my family decided to leave Kentucky and move to Florida, and the other whole side stayed in Kentucky. So me and Hungar and our younger sister, we went back and forth. The Blob is scary. Onion, I any version, the old one, the new one. I mean, because the thing with the Blob is there's no reasoning with that. It just eats you alive. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrifying. Near the boardwalk, technically part of the red triangle. Yeah. Where I am, I'm very close to the #1 place in the world for shark attacks, but it's not the #1 place in the world for fatalities. And it's because like Daytona and Cocoa Beach, you get tons of people getting bit by sharks, but they're getting bit by like 1.5, 2 foot long nurse sharks or sand sharks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you step on it, it takes a chunk out of you. You get out of the water, they give you some stitches, you're fine. You know, it's not like South Africa or Australia where you're out there swimming around and something takes a leg off, you know. And I don't know if I've seen some really big hammerheads, but I don't know if they even attack people. I don't think I've
It might
ever
be
heard of it.
possible, but you know, maybe it just doesn't happen.
Well,
It's like
if they
that whole
attack
thing.
people, they would do it late at night when nobody's watching because they
Yeah.
tend to be nocturnal.
It's like
So-
the granddaddy longlegs. There's the whole thing about them never being able to, like, supposedly they can't bite you. No, they can bite you. Kind of rare, but they can.
I mean, you know, they'd have to get you at just the right space. Like down here, every now and then you'll run into a coral snake. And like I have my ropers I wear when I'm out in the bush. You know what you do to a coral snake? You stomp on it.
Yeah.
Their fangs are literally not big enough to go through a pair of jeans. So, you know, the only way you're getting bit by a coral snake is if you literally got to try and pick it up and F around with it. At which point, if it bites you, you're probably going to die. Mako are bad, but onion bull sharks are the worst. I thought the main scare down there was gators. Mad Cat, the thing that scares me the most down here are the herpes monkeys. Plus, we also have the American crocodile, which is aggressive as shit. And now we've got Nile crocodiles. Plus, we've got every kind of giant snake you ever heard of, anacondas, boa constrictors, whatnot. Somebody said that there was a sighting of a saltwater crocodile off the Keys. I mean, Florida is the Australia of America. You know? And my rule is this. If the water is deep enough that you can't see the bottom of it, just assume there's something in there that will eat your ass up.
You know what? I have to assume anything deeper than my legs, and there's going to be something possibly you can.
Oh yeah, man! If you can't see the bottom of it, don't get in it. Because I mean, and down here we've got cottonmouths or water moccasins, and they are not super venomous, but aggressive. Like they will literally chase you. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is a poison snake that will chase your ass. You will run from it, and they like to bite. What you be out fishing at night, they'll take your bait, and you pull up a freaking 3-foot cottonmouth that's really mad at you. Yeah, that's not good. Monterey, Central, NorCal, yeah. Bull sharks will attack anything. And they have a little lever in their kidneys where they can live in fresh or salt water. They get big as shit. They say most fatal attacks in the world from sharks are bull sharks because they're just so aggressive. That
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, hammerheads, I'm sure, only attack things that are in the bottom.
Yeah, hammerheads, they kind of swim around the bottom and use electricity to try and see if they can find fish or something. Yeah, so but we have capuchin monkeys they let go in down here in Central South Florida, and they have a special kind of herpes that if you get bit by one of these things and you get it, it causes spinal meningitis and you die. And there's no cure for it because it's herpes. You know, it's a virus. So you get it, your brain stem swells up, and you die. That to me is scary. And the idiots that brought those monkeys in, they put them on an island. They're like, it'll be fine. They're on an island. Guess what? Monkeys can swim. So they swam right off that island, just spread all over the place. Now they hire people. There are people who literally get jobs to go out in the middle of the swamp to kill monkeys and snakes. And there are people in like in Miami, down on those big, beautiful $1 billion golf courses people go to. They pay people to go out there and kill iguanas. because I guess iguanas dig holes all over the place and they'll tear a golf course up. But they have caught reticulated pythons out of the frickin' swamp down there that have been 12, 13 feet. Which I don't know if a 12 or 13 foot python would attack and kill a human, but it could if it wanted to, you know. I mean, and they live in the water. They like to just hang out just underneath the water there, and you know, green pythons and shit like that. Those things can get 20 feet long. I remember somebody had a picture of a python ate an alligator, got the alligator halfway down, and the alligator bursts out of the python's side, and then they both died. And there was an actual picture of that. And it was like, well, it's about 8-foot alligators, so the python's about 16 feet. Yeah, Florida is a weird place.
Talk about indigestion.
Yeah. I mean, is Florida as weird as Kentucky? I don't think so. But it is dangerous. There's a lot of wildlife down here that'll straight jack your ass up. Pulled up a nest of water moccasins. Yeah, they'll do that.
Maybe both are equally crazy, just in different ways.
Yep. Yes, sir. There are bounties down here. You can go and apply to the state. And of course, you got to make sure, you know, they want to make sure you know what you're doing, so you just don't get out in the middle of that Everglades and die. But you can get licensed, and they'll pay you for every one of those invasive creatures you bring in. You know, so if you bring in like a Nile crocodile or a big ass anaconda or some shit like that, you get money. And then the guys that kill iguanas on the golf carts, they get killed per iguana. And but I've seen one guy, he's got a YouTube channel. He goes out on this golf course. He kills like 30 iguanas.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. He's got a BB gun, a high power BB gun.
Yeah, it's one of those air rifles that uses like the super compressed air.
Yep, I saw that, and I was like, I need to get me one of those for when I live down in Florida, because I'm a good shot with a rifle. And I'm like, I can go do that all day long. I can shoot iguanas left and right.
It's funny too, because Karens are always calling the cops on him, and then the cops got to show up and be like, "No, he's all right.
What he's supposed to do."
Well, he checks in. I've seen it. He checks in with the police department before he even goes there. A day ahead of time, he walks in there, tells them what's going to happen, what day, what area he's going to be in, and the cops know about it because they've got a notice and a post. You know, all the cops know about it in the morning, and these ladies, these crazy ass ladies, call up the cops going, ah! And then the Florida Wildlife Department shows up, the police show up, the sheriff shows up. You know, there's a guy with an assault rifle. They say like he's got an assault rifle and shit.
Yeah, and it's one of those air rifles that you can buy on Amazon without even a freaking credit check.
Yeah.
You know? And I've seen people with there's one of those air rifles. I was watching a guy killing wild pigs with one. So apparently some of them are pretty, you know, this guy it was like a 357 air rifle, and he was just popping wild pigs like crazy, you know, and it was freaking them out because I guess they don't make that big of a noise.
They don't make any noise hardly.
Yeah, and the pigs were looking around like, what's going on here?
It's like, why are they dying? What's going on?
It's like, you know,
Bill
just laid down to take a nap. What's happening? Saw a video of gators climbing up. Oh, yeah, alligators can climb really good.
Yep.
And they're fast as hell for short distances. That's not a lie.
I got a friend that lives over by Fort Myers. She came home one day, and there's an alligator in her pool in the backyard. And I'm like, you have a lanai on it? And she goes, yep. He just went right through that son of a bitch and went right into the pool. And I'm just like, well, sounds like fun. How big is it? Oh, it's only like 3 feet long, but my husband had to call the Florida Wildlife Department to catch it. I'm like, God damn it, I wish I was down there.
It's like
I would have went over there and just caught it myself. You know what I mean? I'm just 3 foot is not something I'm worried about. When they get past,
if it bit you, it would hurt, but it wouldn't do any like lasting damage or anything.
if it's over my height, I'm gonna be a lot more wary of that damn thing than it is. You know what I mean? So, but they're as afraid of you as you were of them. You know what I mean? So
I don't know if they're smart enough to be afraid.
oh yeah.
I mean, you know, they have a hell of a time finding their brain every time they try to look for it because their head's so full of fat. They're trying to find the brain and they're not sure where the fat ends and the brain begins. You know, it's like these are really primitive animals. And I have seen with my own eyes in person a 14-foot alligator. And let me tell you, that will make your reptile brain want to poop itself right into your mammalian brain and then keep going. There's just something about seeing a reptile that freaking big that's like, yeah, no, immediately no, thank you, no. Because a 14-foot alligator thinks you're food. Once they hit a certain size, they go from they're more afraid of you than you are of them to they will eat you.
Mm-hmm.
They had one of them, three-toed Tom, in North Florida or Alabama or wherever he was. He killed like 26 people. And he was like 14 or 15 feet long. But it was because when they get that big, there's just not enough things out there to eat. You know, they got to rely on maybe catching a swamp deer or something every now and then, or another alligator. They will eat each other. But it turns out something really easy for them to catch and eat is people. Also, alligators love dogs. And I don't mean in a friendly way.
Did you see that guy, that old guy down there in Florida?
Looks like dogs back on the menu, boys.
The alligator came out, grabbed his King Charles Spaniel, and he went right into the water, grabbed that alligator, and gave it an ass whooping. And he had his cigar hanging out of his mouth and everything else, and saved his dog.
Hey, people don't understand. You know, you can mess with a lot of things with people, but not their dogs. That's where a lot of people, if they love their dogs, that's where the line is drawn. That's where you'll take a mild-mannered, nice person, and he'll become the worst serial killer you ever thought of. You F with his dog, shit is on. You know what I mean? Like John Wick kind of shit. Yeah, that's
what I was going to say, know? John Wick.
Yeah, there be dragons or here be dragons. That's a real thing. And it's basically all the way up Florida and then the coast of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana for sure. And then that tip of Texas. But then after that, you don't see them too much in Texas. But it's basically that whole area like that, and then up the Atlantic to Georgia.
Oh no, they got them all the way up into South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, they just you know, and as long as they're little, you ain't got anything to worry about. Two things that will, moose for sure. In Alaska, that's moose and polar bear. Why in a lot of towns in Alaska, you got to leave your car doors unlocked. Because if you're walking down the sidewalk and you see one, you have to immediately try to jump in the nearest car because otherwise you're going to be in trouble. And hippos just don't give an F about anything. And supposedly, according to the scientists, the animal hippos are closest related to is like blue whales, which is kind of crazy. You know, it's like related to whales, but they're super aggressive. They're meaner than shit. Like But the thing with the moose, like I said earlier, Onion, is it is a fact that orca up in British Columbia hunt moose. Because a moose will swim down into the ocean to eat kelp. And if they do, and there's an orca in the neighborhood, guess who's on the menu? Moose. Because people don't seem to understand how big orca are. And as an example, they're as big as a school bus, you know. And I don't mean the little ones some of you guys might have had to ride to school. I'm joking. I mean a full-size school bus, 30 feet plus. I mean, and they're pack hunters, and they're smart. And yeah, so it's like, I remember my mom used to have this weird kind of thing with, like, she believed in the noble savage and orcas have never killed anyone. And I was all like, they don't call them cuddle whales.
Yeah.
Those are called killer whales.
They kill people at their trainers at SeaWorld for goddamn for
A
sake.
buddy of mine I worked with was there when it happened. Well, no, he was the guy who responded. Because a lot of guys at the fire department get part-time jobs as paramedics at SeaWorld or Disney. Because one, it pays great. And two, then you can go there anytime you want. Take your family, right?
Yeah.
For free. And he responded to that. And he said that Killicock or whatever its name was had torn that woman into pieces.
I believe it.
There were pieces just floating around in there. Like, but she wasn't supposed to go near him. That thing had already attacked other people. It was in the back of the lot. It had a big sign saying, aggressive, do not go near this bastard. And when she leaned over to feed it, she had a long ponytail, and it grabbed her ponytail and
Yep.
and then it just took her apart because it was an adolescent male orca dealing with all that testosterone and shit and just freaking out. And yeah, and I think they ended up sending it to Mexico, where they should have sent its ass to the Atlantic or the Pacific somewhere. Take it out a couple miles and just dump him off and be like, you'll be fine. You'll find somebody. You'll be all right. Because they're too smart to keep. We shouldn't be keeping those things. Oh yeah, and orcapods, they'll go after, like, great white sharks are so afraid of an orca that if an orca shows up in an area where great sharks hunt, they will leave that area and stay gone for years until they even come back to look around. But think about this. Here's what an orca will do. It'll hit a shark to stun it, roll it upside down, slice it open neatly, take its liver out, eat the liver, and then let the shark go. So, you know, long death as you're dying of liver failure and blood loss. And the orcas are just like, do. Like in Italy, some orcas decided it'd be a fun game to attack the rear end of yachts and shit, try to rip the props off. And they're like, why did they do this? And it's like, because one orca was sitting there and thought, might be fun to rip the engines off the back of these things. And it told the other orcas, hey, what do you think about ripping the engines off? And the other orcas are like, let's do this. And that's how orcas work. They literally plan on the fly. Like there was one group of orcas that was wearing like dead squids on their heads for a long time. And no one could understand what the point of it was. It was fashion. One of them decided to kill a squid and wear it on its head. And then the other ones were like, well, I want to do that. They're very smart, basically. And like I said, they're about the size of a school bus. They are the apex predator of the ocean. Everybody used to think it was sharks. No. It's the orca. They travel in pods led by female, and all the grandmas that can't reproduce anymore, they become like babysitters and teachers and school marms and shit to help teach the youngins in the pod's language and culture. And I mean, yeah, they're really wild, you know. amazing animals, but
Also terrifying animals.
I wouldn't want to swim with one.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't want to mess with you, there's always that lottery chance it does. And if
Yes.
it does, you're dead. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing you're going to do. If you're in the ocean and an orca decides it wants you to be dead, just
Nothing you can do about it.
yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. You're done. I mean, you know. Yeah, there was a movie a long time ago where these people had killed a baby orca, and the mom like freaked the hell out and started just killing people. That was like back in the 80s, I guess, or 70s. I think the name of the movie was literally Orca. And I think it took place up off British Columbia, that area. And it was like, yeah, don't kill baby orca. You know, mom is not going to be happy with that shit. And she's going to tell all her sisters about it. And now you're going to have problems. You know, and nobody wants problems with, you know, something that big with teeth a foot long. You know, it's like, is sinkholes still a huge prawn? I've never seen sinkholes. And I think every state in the South made it against the law to look at Pornhub now. I haven't tried, but I did read that article. A lot of people were very angry about it.
Yeah, state by state geofencing of Pornhub and other websites. You know, it's
well, F
you
those
know what?
Canadians
If
selling.
you're living in Alabama or wherever, Mississippi, and you got a internet connection, you just VPN the damn thing, and you don't even worry about it. So
yeah, but like I said, F those Canadians and their freaking degeneracy. Orca, not orcs, right? But supposedly, speaking of sinkholes, they're going to remake the movie Holes, the one that had Shia LaBeouf in it. But it's going to be an all-female cast.
Why?
And I think it was Razor Fist that pointed out, like, so what you're saying is you're making a movie about a camp where you put, you know, criminal female teenagers, and you're naming the movie Holes. That seems a bit like you didn't think this through.
They didn't. They definitely didn't.
Sinkholes in Florida? Yeah. They happen, and usually what happens is if it don't take a house out or something, or even if it does, they just pump it full of concrete until the actual cavity underneath the ground is completely full, and then put a layer of dirt over that and call it a day. Usually it has to do with the aquifer getting low, because Florida is like a giant sponge. It's just full of underwater caverns.
limestone,
Limestone, right? And if the aquifer gets too low and that limestone dries out, it gets really brittle, and it'll just collapse right in, you know. And then there you are. I mean, it's not as scary as those blue holes like out in the ocean and shit, but still pretty scary. Anywho, 2 hours in, time to go. Even if I wanted to stay a little later, I can't.
Oh well.
Well, because you know, you guys don't want to see me like crap my pants on live on stream stream. So I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace and love, guys. Have a good one.